mom and baby, new family, new life. When does the parenting begin?
You know, babies are born ready to interact with mom and dad. You know, so really parenting begins at birth. But it's important that transition to parenthood and that those first 6 weeks after having a baby, I like to compare it to being in Vegas. You know, there's no rhyme or reason. There's just this 24-hour continuous loop of activity without really having any sense of what's going on around you.
Right, nobody's sleeping, the atmosphere doesn't change.
Right.
There's this noise.
Right, and it's not like it's nighttime, so they'll sleep. You know, that 2 to 3 hour feeding and that continuous loop, it could be really intense. And for couples to really find that way to support each other and not lose sight of the fact that they were a couple first,
Right.
I think will be that pivotal piece to allow them to parent together. You know, when mom and dad or when partners are at odds with each other, it becomes much more challenging to be patient with our babies.
And the babies pick up on it.
And the babies pick up on it.
Right.
Right. You know, so whether there's strife or, you know, baby blues that have kind of progressed into a depression, babies feed off of this energy. So the more that we can do to keep mom and dad intact with each other and tight together, the better off baby will be. And parents don't realize that, you know, down the road a little bit, you know, when it's like, is date night coming back? And really, as much as possible, I recommend that it never leave. So we should continue to date throughout pregnancy and definitely continue to date after the baby comes. But it's important. So moms and dads have this guilt of, I shouldn't leave the baby.
Right.
And the relationship becomes very baby-centered. And dads a lot of times either get pushed to the side or they'll withdraw on their own because, again, there's that pressure of, I need to provide for the family. Not really sure what I'm doing here anyway, not sure about how to take care of that baby that I've never held. I'll go to work. I feel good at work. I know the work thing.
Right.
You know, so that could be really challenging.
You have a man and a woman or two partners and they're together and they have a baby, and now all of a sudden, maybe they didn't talk about all these decisions as far as, I want time out. Well, I think a pat on the bottom is pretty good.
Right.
Oh, I want nothing. I want to talk their feelings out of them.
Right.
How do they deal with some of these conflicts, and then how do they come together to?
For sure, and it's so
create
important. Like, it's never too late to have that conversation. So even if you didn't discuss it beforehand and now you're in the throes of it, there's nothing wrong with saying, let's take a step back, you know, we'll deal with this soon, but getting on that same page. Because kids, they know when mom and dad are together. And it's interesting because even knowing that there's that united front, kids will still try to manipulate the situation of, mommy said I could have 12 candies. Really? You know, so it's never too late to take that step back and to talk about it. And it's really important that there be a joining of philosophies and a unified front. And more than anything, you know what, there's so many parenting approaches out there. So whatever approach that you want, and you've named a couple of great ones, you'll find it. And you'll find in how to make it happen. More than anything, I encourage parents to find something that's genuine for them. So if you're not cool with that more hippie guru, we don't consequence at all, okay, no problem. You know, because if it's not genuine, your kids will know.
Right, as long as they're both together.
As long as they're together, right. And it's important, and sometimes it means a little bit of give and take and creating that compromise, right? Our kids are going to challenge that over and over again. And it just gets more intense as they get older. So the earlier we can get on that page of how to compromise, the better it'll be. And I really like couples to think about compromising slightly differently, where first you figure out, what's the piece I can't give in on, right? So maybe a mom or dad might say, you know what? I'm willing to talk about how we consequence. I'm not willing to say we don't consequence. It has a place and I think it needs to have a role. But having that clarity sometimes of what you can do and what you can't do really takes compromise to a new level of making it effective. Because now you're not giving up an arm and then feeling resentful about the fact that you're doing something that's totally alien to you. You know, so yes, it has to be a compromise. Figure out that place where both of you can be fluid and flexible, and then find an approach together that works. And it's a balance.
My life as a dad.
Sponsored by Daddy and Company, the perfect gifts for dad. Check out more episodes of My Life as a Dad by clicking here.